The North American F-100 Super Sabre was the world's first operational supersonic fighter, capable of exceeding the speed of sound in level flight. Developed by the United States during the early years of the Cold War, it emerged from an urgent requirement to counter rapidly advancing Soviet jet technology, at a time when air superiority was becoming central to nuclear deterrence and conventional warfare. The F-100 represented a decisive leap beyond subsonic fighters of the late 1940s. Its importance lies not in modern air warfare today, but in how it shaped the transition into the supersonic era that defines modern combat aviation. 2. Origin and development history. The F-100 originated in the United States and was developed by North American Aviation. The program began in 1951 as a private venture to improve upon the highly successful F-86 Sabre. The U.S. Air Force sought a next-generation day fighter capable of sustained supersonic performance. The F-100 first flew on the 25th of May 1953 and officially entered service in 1954.3. Design philosophy and airframe. The F-100 was built around speed, climb performance, and high-altitude interception. Its most distinctive feature was the 45-degree swept wing, optimized for supersonic flight. The airframe used conventional aluminum alloys typical of the era, with stressed skin construction and no composite materials. Early variants suffered from directional instability, particularly at low speeds, which led to structural refinements including a larger vertical tail. Visually, the Super Sabre's long fuselage, swept wings, and prominent intake define the archetype of early supersonic fighters. 4. Engine and propulsion system. The F-100 was powered by the Pratt & Whitney J57 turbojet engine, one of the most important engines of the 1950s. Depending on the variant, the J57 produced approximately 10,000 pounds of thrust dry and up to 16,000 pounds with afterburner. This thrust enabled the F-100 to exceed Mach 1 in level flight, a first for an operational fighter. The engine's power significantly improved climb rate and high-speed performance, though it also introduced high fuel consumption and demanding maintenance requirements. 5. Speed and flight performance. The F-100 had a maximum speed of approximately Mach 1.3, equivalent to about 1,390 kilometers per hour at altitude. Its cruise speed was typically subsonic to conserve fuel. The aircraft had a service ceiling of around 50,000 feet and a rate of climb exceeding 20,000 feet per minute under optimal conditions. While highly capable at high speed, the F-100 was less forgiving at low speeds, especially during landing, earning a reputation as a challenging aircraft to fly. 6. Range, endurance and fuel. Internally, the F-100 carried roughly 3,000 to 100 kilograms of fuel. Its combat radius varied by mission, but was generally around 600 kilometers with external fuel tanks. The ferry range exceeded 3,000 kilometers when fitted with drop tanks. Later variants were equipped with aerial refueling capability, significantly extending operational reach. External fuel tanks were commonly used, as supersonic flight dramatically reduced endurance. 7. Fuel consumption and operating cost. Precise fuel burn figures are not publicly standardized, but early supersonic turbojets like the J57 consumed fuel at a significantly higher rate than subsonic engines, particularly when using afterburner. Operating costs were high for the period, driven by engine wear, frequent inspections, and complex maintenance procedures, while far less expensive than modern fighters. The F-100 represented a substantial logistical burden for 1950s and 1960s Air Forces. 8. Avionics and sensor systems. The F-100 featured relatively simple avionics by modern standards. It used a basic ranging radar or radar-assisted gun sight depending on the variant. rather than a full fire control radar. Navigation and targeting relied heavily on pilot skill. Later models incorporated improved communication systems and limited electronic countermeasures. There was no sensor fusion, and situational awareness depended largely on visual cues and ground control. 9. Weapons and payload. The F-100 was armed with 20mm M39 cannons mounted in the fuselage. It could carry a wide range of external ordnance, including air-to-air missiles such as the AIM-9 Sidewinder, unguided bombs, rockets, and later, limited guided munitions. Maximum external payload was approximately 3,000 to 100 kilograms. The aircraft proved highly flexible, transitioning from air superiority to fighter-bomber and close air support roles, particularly during the Vietnam War. Tench stealth and survivability. Stealth was not a design consideration for the F-100. Its radar cross-section was large by modern standards, and it lacked infrared or electronic signature management. Survivability relied on speed, altitude, and pilot tactics rather than low observability. Defensive systems were minimal, though later upgrades added basic radar warning receivers and countermeasure dispensers. These limitations reflect the technological context of its era. 11 real-world service and combat use. The F-100 served with the United States Air Force and several allied nations, including France, Turkey, and Denmark. It saw extensive combat use during the Vietnam War, primarily in ground attack and close air support missions. While not dominant in air-to-air combat, it proved durable and adaptable. Pilots often praised its high-speed performance while acknowledging its demanding handling. Characteristics. 12. Cost, production, and global impact. Approximately 2,000 to 194 F-100 aircraft were produced between 1953 and 1959. Unit costs varied over time, but were consistent with other advanced fighters of the era. The Super Sabre played a key role in NATO air forces and helped establish supersonic flight as the new standard for frontline fighters. Its widespread export strengthened U.S. influence during the Cold War. 13. Strengths and weaknesses. The F-100's strengths included true supersonic capability, heavy payload capacity, and operational versatility. Its weaknesses included challenging low-speed handling, limited avionics, and high fuel consumption. Early safety issues also affected its reputation. Like all fighters, it reflected compromises dictated by available technology and mission priorities. 14. Final verdict. The F-100 Super Sabre represents a pivotal moment in aviation history, the transition from subsonic to supersonic combat aircraft. While no longer relevant to modern warfare, its influence is undeniable. It laid the foundation for generations of faster, more capable fighters, and remains respected as a bold and necessary step into the supersonic age.